There's a place where the living and the dead trade whispers.
Where shadows don't just follow, they watch.
Where one thin barrier holds back what waits on the other side.
You've stepped into the veil between. What you're about to hear drifts between fact, belief, and the unknown. The veil between is for entertainment purposes only.
Our stories, research, and experiences are our own, not medical, legal, or professional advice.
So step carefully, and remember, the choice to believe is always yours.
Welcome back to the Veil Between podcast.
And we have an interesting topic today. One that I think a lot of people are going to be very interested in because I'm starting to notice a massive awakening happening in the population. Everyone's starting to talk about this topic and everyone's starting to feel this topic more importantly.
Oh.
This topic was chosen by Kelly. We love you, Kelly. And a few of our other viewers, it was kind of unanimous, right?
Yeah, we had several people reach out and say, yes, please do a video or an episode on empaths.
Empaths, yeah. So we're talking about empaths today and empathy. And we just so happen to have a highly experienced and well-versed empath on our team, Simone.
Thank you. So I think the biggest thing about being an empath is, unless you know you're an empath, it's very easy to question your sanity.
Yeah.
And for me, like I've said before, growing up in the 80s and then the 90s, empath was not a common term that you heard. And so I was very lost, very confused. So I'm talking to people who are our age who may just now be, okay, Lestat.
I was like, I know sometimes people get confused about my age, but go ahead.
You're not that old, Lestat. Okay. It's still relative. So I'm talking to mainly people our age who didn't have the proper education. It wasn't widely known, that they may be an empath. This is what an empath feels. And I'm probably going to get some hate from this. But we're here to keep it real, right? We're honest. We're blowing this shit up, like I said before. Here's the thing. There are a group of individuals who are not well versed in these topics, but they regurgitate everything that they've heard. You could tell who these people are because when they come out with videos, tutorials, educational content, they don't actually go in depth. It's all very surface level and generic. So you'll see a ton of YouTube videos on what is an empath, and all those videos are just very generic.
Yeah.
They don't go deep. Today, we're going deep. I'm going to give you real practical, this is what you experience as an empath. This is what you can do. This is how you protect yourself. So we're not doing the fluffy shit. We're giving you the real information, real knowledge, so that if you do have these experiences, you know how to handle it.
And of course, like what we say isn't law, right? Just throwing it out there. This information might not work for everyone. Some people go about it a different way. The main thing is find methodologies that work for you. That's my advice. Find methodologies that work for you and that can be applied to help you, because we have a lot of undiagnosed empaths out there right now that are suffering in silence. A lot of individuals who are going through hell right now because they don't understand what's happening and they can't put the occult science behind it that is required in order to effectively wield this gift that's been given to you. And it's a gift. It is a gift.
I just wanted to add that not everyone is undiagnosed. Like I said, there's been a lot of information out there saying, oh, if you're feeling things, if you're feeling emotions, you're an empath. If you feel things very deeply, you're an empath. But really, that's really all there is out there.
Yeah.
So maybe they know they're an empath, but they can't find the information to actually help them.
A lot of the information I've noticed is presented in a superficial context. And these people, they're trying to help and they know that there is something happening out there. There's an awakening happening out there, but I don't fault them.
I don't
personally.
want to discredit that they're not trying to help people. But the thing is, it's dangerous because these people don't know what they're talking about.
Yeah.
They haven't done the studies.
I will say that.
They haven't done the occult studying, the research to get the knowledge behind it. They're like, oh yeah, I'm an empath. I feel these things too. So I'm going to do a video on that.
Yeah. Be
but
careful.
They don't actually understand the levels to it, what goes into it, how to protect yourself, how to release those emotions, how you can affect other people. And so everything's very generic and it's not actually helping people.
Yeah. Be very careful with dealing with individuals who while they may be well-meaning, they are not well-versed or trained in what they're doing. We have actually a story about how really bad advice from an individual who was just winging arcane knowledge and information ended up tearing a family apart. But we'll go into that in a future case study. So, Simone, as an active empath, practicing empath that has applied your gift in real world scenarios and harnessed your gift and honed your gift over time, what would you say is the most important thing for an empath that's beginning the journey?
The most important thing is to gain control over your emotions. And I've spoken about this before.
Absolutely.
It's about understanding and recognizing your own frequency and your own emotions. You have to take inventory and be like, these are the emotions I'm feeling. Okay, list them all out. You can keep a diary. First, name the emotions. And then once you name the emotions, examine each one. Why am I feeling this? Is this related to anything that has happened in my world, in my life right now to make me feel this emotion? And if on any of them the answer is no, then chances are that's not your emotion.
And let me interrupt you. That was gold, by the way. Let me interrupt you by saying codifying information in journals is a great way to develop yourself when you're starting the journey as a practitioner. Also for empaths, writing down your emotions on a day-to-day basis, or heck, even an hour-to-hour basis if you really want to break it down and you're going through severe emotional turmoil. Thank you. That would be wonderful. And that's gold. I'm sorry to interrupt, but I just wanted to emphasize that it's something very important for all practitioners starting their journey. Codify information, write it down, keep journals. That way you can reference it, study it. This is a science. It's not just, we're not just winging things here.
And I think it would be a great practice to do it twice a day. Like as a regular practice, do it first thing in the morning, do a quick inventory. And then at the end of the day, before you go to sleep, re-examine those emotions and then see if any additional emotions came up throughout your day.
Yes.
And again, analyze that information and see how that affected your day.
Outstanding. Okay. That's some really good advice.
Yeah. I think the most important thing is to do constant inventory so that you are aware of which emotions are yours and which aren't. And that's a great way when you're starting out to figure out by first listing everything you're feeling and then analyze each one. That's a really great way until you've grown that muscle through meditation and learning your own like inner voice, frequency, your own signal. It becomes a lot faster once you're able to recognize that, to notice immediately if there's a foreign frequency, a foreign signal interacting with you. I'm going to share my first experience. My very, very first.
Please do.
My first empathic experience that I ever had. Again, I didn't even know I was an empath. Even after that event, I was still very young. Empath wasn't a word that I was familiar with anyway. Even after the event, I had no idea what I was. But I remember I was 14. I was in high school. And I remember having intense chest pains. And I had asthma. I knew I had asthma. And I know even then I knew what an asthmatic attack was.
Yeah.
And this was not that. This was chest pain. And I literally felt like I was having a heart attack. And I didn't say anything for a while. And it lasted about 5 days. And I was just like, oh, every morning I'd wake up and I'm like, oh, my chest hurts, my chest hurts. And then after 5 days of that, on the 5th or 6th day, I woke up. I remember it was like it was either a Saturday or a Sunday morning. I remember there was no school. I woke up and I freaked out because not only did I have the chest pain, but I had a voice in my head. And it was not mine. It was clearly not mine because it was a male's voice.
Okay.
It was a full-on voice. It wasn't talking like a conversation. It was like internal dialogue, internal thoughts.
Yes.
Like I have for myself, you're like, you think in your head and whatever. I was having these thoughts in my head and the voice was male. Like, so when you're reading a book and you're reading silently in your head,
you can hear your inner dialogue, your inner voice.
You hear your voice, like you have an inner voice.
And this one was masculine.
It was a male's voice. Yeah. It did not sound anything like me.
May I ask you a question?
Go ahead.
So when you were feeling this voice coming into and interfering with your thoughts, was there also a difference in the energy and the presence that you felt in the inner dialogue of your mind?
Yes, the thought was, and it was repetitive. It was frantic. It was stressed out, and the thought was, how are they going to survive without me? Who's going to take care of my children? The thought was, I can't leave my wife alone to raise our children. How is she going to do it without me? I'm the breadwinner. I'm the one that makes all the money. How are they going to survive without me? I can't leave. And it was just over and over and over and over again. It just kept on repeat. And I freaked out so hard. I was freaking out. And I went downstairs, went to my mom, and I told her, I was shaking. I was like, you need to know this. And at first I told her, I said, my chest has been hurting for almost a week. I think I'm having a heart attack. And she looked at me and she laughed. And she's like, you're too young to have a heart attack. Like, you're not having a heart attack. And I said, well, that's been going on for a while. And now all of a sudden there's a voice in my head. And this is what it's saying. And she goes, you can't say that. You can't say that because you will be committed.
And that was in those times well, heck, even before then, this information, this knowledge was not privy to the mainstream public. So it was seen as something taboo, especially because a lot of the false dogma was spread around by the church about these things being evil and wicked, completely disavowing that it's a gift from the Lord and that there is more to it than just what they're being told through the false dogma. And that's what created, I believe, the scare. And then you see things like the satanic panic that had happened that caused a lot of the irrational fear of this, and people had to suffer in silence, like you just explained. Wow.
Yeah. And so it was hard for me to even admit this much to her because she is and always was a very difficult woman. We did not have a good relationship.
I think in that regard, I'm very fortunate because you had such a rough past and you overcame it. But I didn't have any of those. I was born into this lifestyle, so I was lucky to have that. But there's so many people out there who are just going through so much inner turmoil and then having to deal with it when they go home, and you have no one to talk to about this.
Well, I had my mom and my grandma to talk to, and it is a family trait.
Okay.
Although sometimes I wonder if I'm not sure if my mother ever had experiences. She never really talked about it. But sometimes I wonder, maybe she did have experiences, but she turned her back on it and she didn't want to have anything to do with it.
A lot of people went through that. Yeah.
Yeah. That's a topic for another day on why it's important not to turn your back on it.
Yeah.
Even if you don't want to pursue it, you still have to train it so that you can safely turn it off and still protect yourself.
So you're going through this chest pain, you're feeling emotions, and you're hearing a voice that are not your own. So you're keying into a frequency, like a ham radio, searching for other frequencies, right? You're turning that knob and you're trying to find, and you're picking up just random frequencies. So you're told you can't do anything about it at the moment. You could, because people will think you're crazy. How did you overcome this situation?
So pretty much like literally right after she told me that, I was kind of devastated.
Oh, I bet.
I was like really devastated, not kind of, really devastated. And we were just kind of stuck in a deadlock, just staring at each other. And right at that moment, so it was only a few seconds, right at that moment, my brother casually walked by and like casually said, oh, hey, our family friend, her husband just had a heart attack.
Oh.
And he's in the hospital. And my mom was like, what did you just say? And he repeated himself and he was like, yeah, our family friend, her husband had a heart attack. And why this was so shocking was they were in their 30s. I think he was like maybe 35.
That's very young. He's a baby.
Yeah. He went for like a morning jog and had a heart attack.
So not an unhealthy individual, just...
No, he was not unhealthy. I think he was pretty healthy. And I think he was like in construction.
So let's just talk some arcane theory. So do you believe that the shock of the situation, the amount of stress that he was going through because of how it was just not anticipated, do you believe that that's what made it easier to pick up on?
Yeah. Like I said, those thoughts I was having in my head, was very stressed and frantic, and like he just couldn't grasp that, like he could not let himself leave them. He was like, how are they going to do this without me? They were a very new family. I think they had like 2 daughters, and I think they were under 5. It was a very young family. So my mom freaked out. She was like, what? Say that again. And so my brother told her what was going on. The reason why he knew was because my mom and her friend met working in a retail store in the mall. And when my brother graduated high school, he also went to work there.
Yeah.
So he found out about it through work. That's how he told my mom. I think by then my mom had stopped working there. She had gotten a different job. So the weirdest thing was that as soon, like within an hour of finding out, like I was very shocked. So I was in a state of shock. I was still feeling all the things. And my mom actually was like, I have to call her. I had to call her. I had to see how she's doing. I had to let her know I'm thinking of her. Like I had to be there for her, anything she needs. So she was getting ready to call. She looks at me and she goes, can I tell her? And I was like, tell her what? You just said I needed to be committed. What is she going to think? I don't want her to think like I caused it, or I knew this was happening for 5 whole days and I never said anything. And she's a family friend. I don't want her to think any less of me.
Yeah.
Or think I'm weird or think I need to be committed. Or I was like, no, don't tell her. You didn't even believe me, you know? And so I was like freaking out. And I remember I was like shaking because it was just so unreal. I couldn't believe this was happening. I couldn't believe that also what I was feeling actually happened. This actually happened to somebody.
Yeah.
But as soon as the adrenaline calmed down, it was like a key unlocking a door. And all of a sudden, it was like as soon as I knew whose thoughts and emotions those were and the chest pain, it all went away. Like it never even happened. And for years, that's how I didn't know how to manage it. I didn't know how to release these emotions. And they never released until I figured out who it was.
Okay. Okay. Interesting.
And then it was like my body just let it go. Like, oh,
Wow.
that's who it belonged to.
So when we're on our hunts and we're searching for these disembodied entities that can't be seen with the naked eye, this is how you're able to find them using your gift of empathy and sensing their emotions.
Yeah, that's a huge part of it. I can see them. I see like shadows, it's not like a humanoid shadow necessarily. Maybe sometimes it is, but it's more like a blob of like darkness. But I can tell what they're thinking and what they're feeling, like solely based on emotions. If you think about it, every thought we have has an emotion tied to it.
Yes.
So I can get generalities, not very specifics, like as far as like, I don't know, it's a fine line. I'm trying to think of how to explain it, but like I feel the emotion of anger and I can feel the thought that's causing that anger or that's linked to that anger, if that makes sense.
Yes.
Yeah.
And because these entities are negative, that's usually what you feel, and you're able to sense them and differentiate between them and everything else that you're sensing, right?
Yeah. I've had an experience, we'll talk about it in another episode when we talk about our case studies.
Okay.
But just as a quick reference, that event, there were 2 entities involved. One was negative and one was positive. One was actually trying to help protect the family.
I remember, yes.
I still helped it move on because nothing should be there. I wanted it to move on. It was a very old spirit. I thanked it for helping the family. And then I helped release him. And so I could tell the difference. Like I felt from him, I felt the protective emotion, like that he just wanted to protect the family.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, there's so much happening on the other side, you never know. Wow. So when would you say you started getting a hold, a grasp on this gift, and then you were able to harness it effectively to a positive outcome?
Well, I would say I kind of just floated along.
Yeah.
I floated along until my early 20s when I encountered that psychic vampire and was attacked.
Yeah.
Because nothing had ever attacked me before. And I was like, oh, these things are just around. It's part of my life. I'm used to it. It's like never really being alone. It's like, I wouldn't say it was like having a friend, but it was like always having like guardians around, just, or like
Yeah.
just people in the street. I was never truly alone. They were just there, and I never felt afraid or anything like that. So it was when I was attacked by the psychic vampire that I was like, okay, I probably should train. I need to figure this out. I need to take control so that I'm never vulnerable again. Because when that happened, when the very first time I was attacked was the very first time that my third eye, it like blasted open out of just pure necessity. I had never been able to do that before. I heard people talk about it and reference it, but I was like, I don't know what that is. I don't even know what that would look like. I don't know how to train that. I didn't know anything about it. So it literally blasted open in that moment. After that, I was like, I can't ever let myself be vulnerable again.
In the world of magicians, an untrained mind is a weak mind. So many individuals are pretty cocky. They run into little nasties and small psychic manifestations and they think you can overcome them. And they do well. Those things can be overcome easily until they run into a greater nomenclature of disembodied entity. And then they get their butts handed to them. They get humbled. They get terrified. They realize they're out of their depth. You have to train your mind. It's like preparing for a boxing match. You have to jump rope. You have to hit the heavy bag, the speed bag. You have to train mitts with your coach, spar, do all of that just to get ready for 12 rounds. You got to go through a lot just to do those 12 rounds of fighting. It's the same thing being a practitioner. You have to train your mind, harness your mind, focus your mind in your spare time. It's a lot of work before you can actually bring it into practice.
And like you had mentioned earlier, most of my education in this, like 99.9% of it, is all self-taught, trial and error.
Yeah. So you said you were self-taught, most of it. And a lot of it was through trial and error because there was no information out about this, right? There was nothing accurate, at least. And would you say, are there any exercises or anything like that that you would like to prescribe for those that are out there starting their journey that you wish you had known sooner?
Yeah, I kind of made up my own
Okay.
meditative exercises for what I found to be most helpful for me. Like I said, the most important thing is to release these foreign feelings. And I can't stress enough, if you are strong enough of an empath, like untrained, like just natural ability, it's extremely possible that you will experience physical pains that aren't yours. I remember, like, hindsight looking back, I was in the hospital all the time. And every time I would tell the doctor, like, this is the pain I'm feeling, this is, whatever, the doctor always told me, you're too young to feel that. Like, I would complain of arthritis. And like, as a young child, like 10, you're too young to have arthritis. I'm like, oh, well, it hurts. My joints hurt. Everything hurts. But that was like, I was constantly getting that as a response, as an answer from mainstream people. And then again, as soon as the doctor would say, you're too young to experience this, it kind of gave my body permission to release it. And then I would stop feeling those things. So if you, growing up, had these weird ailments that you couldn't explain or it didn't make any sense, you're too young to be experiencing these, then you're probably a really strong, naturally gifted empath. And not only do you feel and experience other people's emotions, but also their physical pain. And then, of course, there's the thoughts. There's the emotions, and then there's the thoughts. It's really similar between emotions and the thoughts. And sometimes it's hard to differentiate between the two. But as the example I shared earlier with the family friend, those were clear thoughts. Those were clear mental thoughts. Those weren't really emotions. So there's like 3 pieces to this puzzle, 3 different things that you can experience as an empath. So the very first thing, like the most important thing, is to first figure out if these emotions, thoughts, physical feelings are yours or not. And then to release it if it's not yours. So I created a meditation that anyone can use. I would start the day, like as soon as I woke up, I would just kind of lay in bed. It was like a quick 5-minute meditation. I would just get really quiet and do a quick inventory, like we were talking about with the journaling, but I would do a quick inventory of all those things, all three. Do a physical inventory, feel how my body is feeling, and ask myself, is this normal? Is this my normal?
Yeah. And in meditation studies, the more in-depth ones that we had when I was training an apprentice, we would call that mindfulness in motion, where you're taking note of your mind and body in time and space.
When you put a name to each emotion and when you acknowledge each emotion and you say, this is mine, this is what I'm feeling. When you encounter something that is not yours, just the simple act of saying, this doesn't belong to me, you don't even have to, you don't have to try to release it. It just goes. You say, this doesn't belong to me. And your instincts, your natural ability will be like, okay, it's gone.
Yeah.
It's not hard. You just have to take the time and be quiet with yourself and be mindful. There's no secret trick to it. It's just acknowledging it. If it's yours, it'll stay. And if it's not, then it'll go.
Okay.
Another great meditation that I would do first thing in the morning. After that, another quick 5-minute meditation, still laying in bed. I would reflect on what I wanted to experience emotional wise for the day in the beginning. And probably still now, like when I'm experiencing stress and stuff, like I would you just choose one emotion. And most of the time it was peace. I just wanted peace. You can choose happiness. Like I want to be happy today. The more simple the emotion, the easier it is. So like keep it simple. If you want to experience love for the day, that's a great one. It's so powerful. And when you think of love, like if you choose love for the day, it's not necessarily romantic. People will come up to you and they'll compliment you. They'll be like, oh, your hair looks so great today. Oh, I love your outfit. Is that new? It's more than friendship. When people come to you with an emotion of love, there's no room for hate. So if you don't want to experience, like, I don't want people coming at me and yelling at me and telling me I messed up something or, it's a really great emotion to use. So what you do is you pick your emotion, happiness, love, peace, pick that one emotion, that one word that resonates with you that you want to resonate for the whole day. And you feel that emotion. What do you feel when you experience that emotion? How does the love feel internally? Almost like you're projecting it out. If I love somebody, love my neighbor, love my best friend, love my coworker, feel that. How does that feel? And you project it out. If you have to envision a specific person in front of you, project that feeling to them.
In my scope, in my training as a magician, we call that metaprogramming.
Okay.
Thoughts create the universe. So you program inwardly to generate what you want to observe in the world outwardly.
Yeah. I was just going to say, so you're literally creating and harnessing the motion within yourself.
Because as an empath, you're interconnected with everyone around you. So
Yes.
you're able to spread that in a positive way.
Yes. And it kind of acts like when you harness that, you manifest that and you create it within yourself.
Yeah.
It's kind of like a magnet.
Yeah.
Where you'll stick it to somebody, if that makes sense. But then you'll also attract it to you.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Well, it makes a lot of sense when you know the arcane science behind what an empath constitutes.
Yeah.
Makes a lot of sense.
And another example for if you want to experience peace, again, start internally and just feel how does that peace feel? Let all the stress melt away. Nothing's going to go wrong today. Everything's just going to be like chill today.
Yeah.
And that's peace, like no headaches, no fire drills to put out, no fires to put out, no stress, no late due bills. Like everything's going to go right for you today. That's peace.
Yeah.
And, create that feeling within yourself. And that one, you don't really have to project so much. That one is really internal. So it's like I'm attracting peace, good things to me. And you'll feel it. I mean, when I first created this, I kind of just did it as a whim. One day I was just like, I wonder if this is something I can do. Because I remember it was a time that was full of turmoil and I was stressed out. Work was a drag and I didn't want to go to work. I just a little bit miserable. And so I was like, I wonder, I just wish I could have this happen today. And I just kind of focused on it for 5 minutes and my entire entire day was amazing.
Good. Yeah.
It was so good. It was the first time, and I'm talking like years, where I actually had a good day at work, where nothing went wrong. Or if it did, I had the solution like that. It was crazy. Just everything went right. It's another way to reframe your mind. It sets the intention for the day through emotions. And emotions are very powerful. Like I said, every thought you have, every action you do, there is an emotion tied to it. So start at the source, go straight to the source, go straight to the emotion, and everything else will flow from there. And I'm telling you, all you need is just one positive emotion.
Thoughts create your reality.
Mhm.
Absolutely right. I do want to add something to that. What is this arcane science behind an empath? Understanding this will probably help a lot of people visualize why they have these gifts and how they're harnessing it and how it's affecting them. So we are all one through loving kindness and especially through God. We are all one. And when broken down even to the subatomic level, you start to realize we're all the same thing, energy and balance. And there is no difference between you and all the things that are around you. So I know I said this before, separation is an illusion, albeit a persistent one. Empaths are those people with the gift where the idea of separation, even if it exists consciously, does not apply to them. They're able to sense the energies around them, the emotions of everyone and everything around them. And because of the great awakening that's happening in the last days, as the Bible told us, there will be a great awakening and a great influx of knowledge that would happen in the generations of the last days. A lot of individuals are waking up to their gifts, these gifts that are provided by the Lord. So understand, as an empath, you are able to see in an etheric scope that other people cannot because of this gift, because of the gift of oneness. You can turn it off if you wish to, but that might be dangerous. My advice is to listen to what Simone had to say and apply certain exercises of the mind so you can learn to control and harness this gift. Okay, so that you don't end up falling victim to the pitfalls of emotions, because we do live in an emotionally charged society. And I believe that's because the enemy out there that we always talk about is weaponizing the awakening against us, weaponizing your gift against you. If you're an empath, I'm sorry to say this, but you have a responsibility to control and harness your emotions. Okay, because like Simone said, when you go out into the world, your thoughts will create reality. And because you're interconnected to other human beings around you, you will affect them as an empath because you're naturally attuned to those networks, those unseen networks to the etheric layers. My advice to you is learn to harness that. The inventory check that Simone has stylized and developed herself is the same thing that a lot of trained magicians do. We call it mindfulness in motion, taking an inventory of yourself in time and space. First, starting with your body, then starting with your mind and your emotions and how you're feeling. This will help you learn to harness what you're feeling to make sure that if there are any foreign invaders coming into your mind, you do not let them take over. You do not become susceptible to them, and you're able to either block them out or diagnose where they're coming from properly. I would like to add an exercise, even though I am not an empath. I'm not an empath. I'm just a trained magician. But I would like to add an exercise called quieting the mind. This is another thing that we learn as magicians when we're starting out. And as taking a moment to just sit, let your mind that's constantly rattling off thoughts, just let it relax and take a few seconds. And if you have time, a few minutes out of the day to just follow your breaths, let the worries of the day go, let ideas go, let stress go. And just relax with your thoughts, breathing in and out for a couple of seconds. And that's quieting the mind right there. It's not that complex in theory. In practice, it becomes a little more difficult. Now, when those foreign thoughts come into your mind, you do not jerk your mind away violently. Do not repel them. Be nice to yourself. Gently guide it away like a child. We are focusing on not thinking, not stressing, not feeling until you learn to quiet your mind properly and harness it over time. That discipline will develop and you will be able to access and control what comes in and out of your worldview.
And just one more thing to add on, you said the importance of training. Not only is it because you can affect other people as an empath, but anyone who has a natural intuitive ability should train because you have a light and it attracts things in the darkness. So you will attract entities, negative entities like a moth to a flame. So just knowing the basics of how to protect yourself and controlling your mind will protect you because they do invade your mind.
They do.
These entities attack your mind.
I mean, I helped a client one time with road rage because he had severe road rage and it had led to a few assault charges. He was not getting the help he needed from anger management courses because he didn't realize that he was actually taking in the frequencies of the people that he was engaging with as well. So it was adding fuel to the fire. And no matter what he attempted to do, just wasn't working. All the steps, procedures, all of that wasn't working because he was sensing another person's anger and he was an undiagnosed empath. When you take inventory and you realize that those are not my thoughts coming in, that I need to control what I'm putting out, you're able to take charge of your life in a more effective manner. Because 9 times out of 10, most people who are, especially undiagnosed empaths, are going to realize that's not me. That's not who I am. And everyone, when the anger subsides, usually says the same thing. That's not me. That's not who I am. I don't know who that person was.
Yeah. I feel like we can keep talking for
We could. We'll
a
probably
while.
we'll have to do another episode, especially to cover dark empaths
Yeah.
and more of the arcane applications of it.
And I feel like sharing stories, sharing personal experiences is a great way to explain what it's like because
Yeah.
it's really hard to put it into words how it feels.
It is, and I've studied it so much. And even though I'm book smart when it comes to it, I don't really know the
When you
applications of it.
when you had your very first empathic
Yeah,
encounter, you were like, I don't like this feeling.
I didn't, and I think everyone felt that, though, to be honest with you. But we are all interconnected, and we are all to some extent empaths. Some of us are more gifted than others.
I just remember it was very hard for you to put it into words.
It was. I was trying to. Luckily, I had a professional here to help me, but I didn't know how to explain. I even though I was trained, I am trained, and that came in. But just me being a magician, it wasn't something I know about it, but it wasn't something because I never considered myself an empath. I always thought I was just this meathead.
It's one thing to know mentally, like knowledge wise, like reading about it in a book.
Yeah.
It's totally different when you experience it and you're like, whoa.
And then once I got a grasp on it, and you told me a lot of things. It's like, okay, yeah, now I know how to cancel it out. Thankfully, though, I don't have it nearly as much as you.
No, I think you've only had it a few times.
A few times, yeah.
And you're like, that's enough. So if you guys have any other questions, you know where to send them to us. If you want a part 2,
Yeah.
more empath talk, because we can go on for a while.
There's a lot we did not cover about empaths.
We only have so much time. We tried to boil this down to the most important. I really wanted to give you guys the tools to help you the most. And so we did that. We gave you a couple different exercises. So utilize those. And if you have any specific questions, send them in. Either we'll answer them on the next episode, or if there's enough questions, we'll do a whole other video.
Whole other episode, yeah. I have a feeling that because this is the tip of the iceberg, we probably have to do another episode on empaths if the viewers want it.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, so on to our questions, listener
Okay.
questions. We have 2 from Kelly the Jabberwock.
Hey, Kelly, we love you.
Question 1. How can we know if a sign or a voice seeming to guide us is from God or from a negative entity, aside from things that obviously divert us from God's word?
That comes down to a lot of meditation and learning to harness the mind. And pretty much what we just covered, learning to control and harness the mind. That way you can understand the inner dialogue, because the inner dialogue can be easily manipulated by demons, and demons are constantly manipulating individuals to do foul things. We see it all the time in the news, people just doing abhorrent things out of emotions lost in the moment. And then when they come to, they're so regretful, and sometimes they even take their own life in the process. But I looked at a lot of case studies of individuals who I thought were possessed by demons in the moment, and it turns out that a lot of them were listening to an inner dialogue they thought was their own. And it's very subtle and very manipulative. So besides the obvious, my advice is to meditate. Meditating makes you familiar with your mind, just like exercising makes you familiar with your body, the strength that your body has, what you can do with it. You have to train your mind. And it's one of the things that I believe that we do not do here in the West. We do not take mental health seriously. We do not take mental acuity seriously. And because of that, a lot of individuals are suffering in silence. So to answer your question and to reiterate what I said, meditate. We just gave you 2 great exercises today in order to take inventory mentally and your emotions as well, to inventory your emotions in your mind and your thoughts, and to take charge of your reality. That's the main thing you have to focus on, is taking charge of your reality. Sadly, we're in a situation where being lackadaisical and not training your mind can lead to very awful outcomes, especially for individuals with gifts.
Yeah. So to add on to that, I can give you very specific how to know. It comes down to, again, you can use the same inventory check. It's really important to know what's what, to recognize what it is and put a name to it. But there are specifically when you're talking about comparing God versus demons, I have experienced the love of God and I've experienced him in the room with me a handful of times. Not a lot, but a handful of times throughout my entire life. He feels like sunshine, like you're in a field of flowers and the sun hits you at the perfect sunshine in your face. And it feels like if you close your eyes and you just kind of feel the heat envelop you, like on a really nice spring day, not too hot, not cold, but like you can feel the heat of the rays. And I can feel it embrace me like a hug, like just the perfect sunny day. And that's what it feels like physically, that's what it feels like. I can feel the hotness, the heat of the sun on my face. I feel it wrapping around my body like a hug. And then at the same time, I feel the most beautiful, heart wrenching, unending love, like unconditional love. And it's just the most wonderful feeling. Have you experienced that?
Yeah. And even though I'm not an empath, I think it's because of my constant training with meditation, I'm able to differentiate between negative and positive entities. For me, it's different. For me, God feels like a warm light.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
that's like the
It's
sun.
close, but we're all going to have our way of envisioning God. And remember, God will never tell you to do anything to harm yourself or put yourself into harm's way. Part of what's going to also be required is suppression of the ego, making sure that a lot of individuals out there recently are saying, oh, God sent me to remember God's all powerful. He doesn't need a flawed being like us to do anything for him.
But here's the thing. If it's a negative entity, they do try to trick you and they do pretend to be a loved one or a child, something vulnerable to pull on your heartstrings.
Yeah.
But if you pay attention, they can't hide. They can't pretend. They can't pretend to be good. Like they can't fool the lie detector. You know what I'm saying? They may say all the right things and play the role, but if you actually pay attention to what they're saying, you might get a chill, like, oh, there's something off about that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They can't lie in that way. They can't put off the same positive frequencies the way God can.
A great fallback for those individuals who may not be gifted and may not have any training, is to always force whatever's talking to you to announce who is king. Jesus is king. Negative entities will never say that. They will get furious. And that's how you know if you're dealing with something bad.
A thing that works for me, you have to know your body naturally gives off signals. Your hair stands up on your arms. You get chills down your back. For me, if there are negative frequencies hitting me, I will get an intense chill down my spine.
Okay.
And it feels like spiders. Okay. Like woo, spiders, like whatever freaks you out. Like, like that tingle, that chill that goes down your spine. That's how I know if it's bad. If it's good, I will feel what I can describe as champagne bubbles going up my spine.
Okay.
Like, you know how bubbles in the champagne glass, they rise and they kind of pop. So it's a different feeling from chills and then like tingles going up in a good way. So that's my internal signal of whether something's good or bad. Everyone is different. Either you have a gut feeling, a heart feeling, goosebumps, the hair rising. Listen to those signals that your body is giving off and recognize what it feels like when it's something good and what it feels like when it's something bad. So that even if something's bad is trying to trick you, you'll know, what are my spidey senses telling me?
Yeah. I hope that answers your question, Kelly. Very good question.
Yeah.
Always coming with those zingers, huh?
So next one. Oh, maybe we already answered these. I don't know. What daily practices do you recommend for thriving in this world? The antidotes to the negative frequencies bombarding us.
Well, we gave you 2 good ones today, and those don't require much time at all. So to reiterate, Simone, what do you call it again? We call it mindfulness in motion. What do you call it?
Yeah, that's fine. I
Inventory?
never really, just inventory,
Okay, so
emotional inventory.
So emotional inventory, mindfulness emotions, what we talked about earlier today, and then also quieting the mind. And then my other advice would be perhaps learning a breath meditation, which teaches you focus. Sadly, here in Western society, we are just now catching up on the benefits of meditation because of, once again, false dogmas lying about the benefits of it. It is not demonic in any way, shape, or form. If anything, it's going to bring you closer to the Lord because you're learning to harness your mind in a positive way and you're going to be able to hear his voice more clearly. Okay. And then the other thing is meditative prayer. Meditative prayer works magnificent. Now, you can make up your own mantra if you want to. And a mantra is a string of words in which you use to dedicate your mind and spirit during a meditation. So a perfect mantra I would like to advise would be the Lord's Prayer. For me, it's easy to remember. It's soothing. It's wonderful. And it brings you closer to the Lord. And there's a lot of positive energy tied to it because of people who have announced it over many years, because we talked about the arcane laws over many, many years, 2025 years to be exact. Actually 2000 years on the dot to be exact, of reciting this in positive, loving way. Okay. So that's my advice to you is we have a Lord's Prayer video up if you ever want someone to meditate and pray with. That's my advice to you in that regard, to keep it simple. We have more advanced exercises as you become more adept, but we'll cover those later.
Yeah. Great questions. Thank you so much, Kelly. All right. So time for house cleaning. Again, just friendly reminder that we have new episodes every second and fourth Wednesday. And we are introducing a new show. Tune into that. It's Occult Pop. And that will be every first and third Wednesday. And so like alternating
We're
weeks.
just going to have our own television station on YouTube.
We're doing it. We are, if you guys have any suggestions of what you want to see or learn about, we can always add a whole new show.
Yeah.
So check out Occult Pop.
Occult Pop, where we look at popular culture through an occult lens.
Badass. And this all stemmed from our Annabelle episode.
Yeah.
Where a lot of people were fascinated by that. So we're going to do more talking about occult in movies and media.
And they hide a lot of Hollywood's very well versed in the occult, very well versed in the arcane, the occult, all of that. So they hide a lot of stuff in their movies, and you'll be surprised if you look at it through a occult lens, all the hidden details that are in there.
Yeah, if you guys want us to talk about a specific movie or TV show or music specifically, send us a suggestion on our Discord or via email. You know the usual.
Yeah.
So yeah, and we'll do an episode on that. So again, join our Discord, chat with other like-minded people, other people falling down the rabbit hole along with us.
Yeah.
Join the journey. And on our book club on Fable, the Veil Between Book Club, our current read is Occult America, White House Seances, Ouija Circles, Masons, and the Secret Mystic History of Our Nation by Mitch Horowitz. And we're going to take some time to read that one and really digest it and discuss it. And again, all these things are free. Like I know people also, they charge to join a group chat, and then they charge to also join their book club. No, all of this is free.
All this is free.
All of this is free. So the more the merrier. If you need to, or if you would like to email us, we are at theveilbetweenpodcast@gmail.com. I am at Arcana District on Instagram and TikTok.
I am at Guy Quintero on Instagram and TikTok.
Thank you so much for joining us again, and we will see you next time.
Thank you, fam. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.
I always forget to say that.
Hey, that's what helps. That's really what helps us.
Please subscribe. Please like, share,
and subscribe.
Yeah. Thank you so much. Bye.